What's up, everybody? Welcome to Among the Fence. My name is Aaron. Today we're checking out the new album Remains of a Dead World by the band Nightrage. This is the 10th studio album from the Melodic Death Metal band. They formed in Greece, but then later moved to Sweden. So I guess that makes them a Swedish-Greek death metal band. They've been around since 2000, so they pretty much have dropped an album every 2 years. Their first couple albums are considered to be their best, featuring Gus G on guitar and Thomas Lindberg from At the Gates on vocals. And when they released their third record, A New Disease is Born, with a completely different lineup, different vocalist and guitar player, they changed things quite a bit. They became a little bit more metalcore, and I feel like fans didn't really appreciate that quite as much. But back in 2007, it did help them gain a lot more popularity just overall. And honestly, they've been pretty consistent after that release, with only one disappointment being The Puritan, which came out in 2015, debuting new vocalist Ronnie Nyman. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. Things would eventually smooth out, though, with their 8th and 9th studio albums, Wolf to Man and Abyss Rising, two of, in my opinion, the best albums that they've released to date. And after hearing some of the singles for this new LP, Remains of a Dead World, it seemed like they were just getting started, especially after gaining another new vocalist, Konstantinos Togas. The first single, Euphoria Within Chaos, touches on the struggles faced with self-improvement and learning how to really push through those difficult times. It displays fantastic riffs and drum work, showing just how well the chemistry is between the band members, making a really solid opening track for this album as well. And I love the abrupt interlude that's super chill. It makes for a great transition into the bridge, which makes it just hit so much harder. And then we have their second single they released, A Throne of Melancholy, where they took a different approach, focusing more on the melodies within the riffs. The chorus is pretty catchy thanks to the guitar and the clean vocals that pop up here and there. It just sounds so good, especially combined with the harsh growls, making this so addicting. Normally, I don't care for this type of melodic death metal just because it sounds a little too familiar, a little too common nowadays, but they pull it off very well. The drummer also shows just how underrated he truly is. And then the last single that they released for this LP is Persevere Through Adversity, going back to a more aggressive type of sound where the riff is super intense and the vocals are very much in your face. Not to mention the heavy chorus just makes you want to throw your fist in the air while you're singing along with the clean vocals. It's one of the best songs I've heard from this band within the past decade, and it flows into the next song, Nocturnal Thorns, which has a really stompy riff in the verses that has kind of a thrash quality to it. The chorus is pretty epic, but this time around I don't care that much for the clean vocals just because they feel a little forced at times. It doesn't necessarily kill the song, but it definitely makes it feel more predictable. And just the overall vibe of the song feels like it should have come much later in the record because it tones things down just a little bit too much. Then we have songs like Dark Light, which have just a touch of doom mixed in. The constant vocal delivery sounds fantastic. It's a nice change. Kind of reminds me of like an old school kind of metal song, which I absolutely love. The dark atmosphere works so well. It just reminds me of like an old school Machine Head song, and I can't get enough of it. Plus the outro is an absolute thing of beauty. Then they followed up with the song Echoes of the Broken Words, which brings back their more signature riffs and melodies. The interludes in this one are so heavy and they leave you wanting more, and the pre-chorus has a gigantic buildup. And the second time it comes around, it is pieced together to the solo so brilliantly. The songwriting in this is top tier, really making a statement as it's going into the back half of this album. Following up with the song Deadliest Sin, it has a really strong melody and a really creepy verse, focusing on just evil sounding vocals and the drums, and then a nasty riff comes in about halfway through. It's pretty brutal, especially the chorus, which gives it more of a modern feel. This one, it's different. And I would say normally I wouldn't like this because it follows more of a mainstream kind of quiet verses and epic kind of chorus, but I absolutely love this. It sounds so good. It's easily one of my favorite songs on this album, and the outro, again, is just something you're going to want to keep going back to, listening to over and over. Pierce the Soul has a very dynamic riff, kind of reminding me of something that Lamb of God would write, specifically in just how unrelenting it is and how the vocals have really long, deep growls to them. The chorus quickly changes that up though. The guitar melody is very colorful, and the vocals, while still distorted, carry a little bit more of a melody, increasing the emotion, and they keep that vibe going into the next song, Obey the Hand, with another really groovy riff that'll make you want to stomp around your room. The chorus isn't super prominent, but it flows right back into the verses, which are just so good, and they're high powered and they have so much energy to them, really taking you through the last pieces of this album. The closing track, which is also the title track, has one of the most diverse melodies and riffs. They don't really hold anything back, as they're basically playing as fast as they can in the verses and letting the melodies really shine through and have their moments in the chorus. It makes for a very epic finale for this album, ending on a high note, especially again the outro, which is something they've shown time and time again that they could do so freaking well. And even though this album isn't really conceptual, it still makes for a great closing track. It doesn't really feel like they slow down at all. They keep powering all the way through, and it just sounds so freaking fantastic. This is probably one of my new favorite Nightrage albums. The vocals are the best I've heard in this genre in a long time. They remind me a lot of like Lamb of God, which is a little bit of an old school feel to them that I just can't get enough of. The melodies and the riffs are so memorable, and they make you want to go back and listen to these songs over and over again. It's hard to imagine how this album could be any better, with some exceptions to like a few choruses that sound a little bit too generic to my ears. It just sounds like typical melodic death metal. But I mean, otherwise it's so good. Even the production, the vocal levels, and just the riffs and everything, like I said, it just sounds so old school with still modern touches here and there. But I'm a sucker for old school death metal, like I mentioned before, like Machine Head, and it's just so freaking good, with just touches of groove metal thrown in there and a little bit of doom. I mean, they do everything right on this album. They definitely take their time within songwriting. They show just how well they're able to play as musicians together. It's only 41 minutes long, so it doesn't overstay its welcome, making it easier for you to go back and constantly listen to this album. This is one I'm going to be jamming for a very long time. So with all that said, I got to give Remains of a Dead World by Nightrage a 8.6 out of 10. But I want to know what you guys think, especially since I'm sure a lot of you haven't listened to Nightrage before. Go ahead, give this album a listen, at least a couple of the songs I mentioned, and let me know what you think. Let me know what you rate it, what your favorite song is. And also, while you're down there, don't forget to let me know what you want me to review next. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like. It helps out so much with YouTube's algorithm, and it's the simplest way to keep my videos popping up in your recommended feed on YouTube. And of course, if you want to support me even further than that, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell icon. That way you get notifications. You don't miss out on any of my future reviews. And I just thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to listen to me sit here and talk about music. And I hope you have a good rest of your day or night, whenever you happen to be watching this. And I will talk to you guys next time.